Hello friends, family, total strangers. Today's video is a subject that I have discussed in the past, but I've never done a whole episode on it, which it deserves a whole episode. Mice. Mice in your house are a nuisance. You know, they'll run around, they might poop somewhere, you might see them scurry across the floor, and it's like, and whatever. All said and done, they're not that big a deal. You get a trap, you set it, and yeah, not that big a deal. It's a big space, 1,000 square foot house, 1 or 2 mice. Not that big of a deal. When you live in a 6 foot by 5 foot van, that's your living space in the back of my Transit Connect. Yeah, mice are horrible. Horrible. So, you'll be sleeping and you'll wake up because you'll hear this like chewing noise like right under your head. They'll be somewhere, just chewing on something. Or I woke up one night and one was on me and it ran down the length of my body. This has happened in my van. Things probably not posted on Instagram. Yeah, mice are really terrible in a van. And it's really difficult to keep them out. It's just a perfect little habitat for a mouse because they have all these dark little corners they can make their nests. If you're not super hardcore about keeping clean and not leaving any food garbage out or food crumbs or whatever, it's a big problem. Even if you are really good on that, it's still like a good habitat for a mouse because they can make their nest in little dark places in your van. You can also have problems in your engine. I haven't had... probably shouldn't even say this. I just jinxed the crap out of myself. I've never had problems with mice chewing wires in my engine yet, or rodents. You can also have pack rats in there. You can have squirrels. Yeah, various rodents can get in your engine and make a little nest in there. I haven't had that yet. This latest time, so I just had a mouse visitor. He made a nest in my glove box, he or she. Made a nest in my glove box. So apparently it came in through the engine because there was like insulation and stuff from the hood in the glove box with other stuff. And yeah, it made a little nest in there, and from there it can squeeze. Their skeletal structure is really flexible. They can squeeze into some really small cracks. So it's really hard to keep them out. It's impossible to keep them out. So I was not very good about keeping my van as clean as it could be. And yep, I had a mouse and it messed me up. So, I'm living in the trailer right now. So on my weekends I would go out and camp, and then I came back and I was in my trailer for 5 days, and then I had a weekend where I went into town and stuff and wasn't really living in there, and then was in the trailer for 5 days, and then went back and there is mouse poop freaking everywhere. Like, it pooped on my dash, it pooped on my console, it pooped on one of my seats, it pooped on top of my bins, it pooped on my sink, it pooped on my bed, it pooped freaking everywhere. It chewed part of my sheet of my bed. I had left a couple things out and it chewed on them. Don't leave a napkin or paper towels or anything like that out because mice will chew them and turn them into the nest. They'll use it for their nest. So paper towels, toilet paper, napkins, all those things need to go in a sealed bin. So yeah, it was terrible. It was a mess. I had poop everywhere. So let's talk about how to get rid of them. When you wake up in the middle of the night and hear a mouse chewing on something, there's been nights where I just turned the light on and left it on just so it wouldn't come up on me. It wouldn't, because then they go down into the recesses. They find a little dark space because they like the dark. They're nocturnal. So I've slept with the light on just to end the problem in the middle of the night. But honestly, you should just, at that point, if you have a mouse in the middle of the night, you should just get up and set a trap. So mice traps, I like the ones that have the flat plastic thing rather than just the little metal piece here. The reason that is I take peanut butter. Peanut butter works fantastic. I worked a job where we had log cabins and we're always having mouse problems. And it was my job. I worked overnight to set traps, and so I got really good at it. You always set them along a wall somewhere, and you want it somewhere dark. So if you're setting it in the middle of the night, it's no big deal because anywhere is dark. And you just put it, I usually put it on the passenger side of my van on the floorboard against the wall, and it'll usually catch it really fast. Take just a little bit of peanut butter. Just take your knife and get a little nick of peanut butter on it and just smear it in. You don't want like a big glob on there because it'll just lick it off and might not even set off the trap. So you want to kind of smear it in there just a little bit so he has to get in there to get it. And these work very reliably and pretty fast. Just make sure you don't put too much bait on the trap so he can just lick it off. Yeah, so mouse traps. I mean, you can do other types of, I think the glue traps are terrible. I think the glue traps are horribly mean. So don't use glue traps, just use a snap trap. You can use traps where they just capture the mouse and then you can throw it out, but the problem with those is they poop in those little traps and then you're worrying having to sanitize and everything. And you know, mouse poop has a lot of, mice are dangerous all said and done. They can carry rabies, they can carry hantavirus, they can carry all sorts of things. So I think the snap trap is the best way to just deal with them. Snap trap. So yeah, set a snap trap, get it out of there. And then if he's been in your van a while and he's pooped everywhere, then it becomes a gigantic ordeal. So you have to pull everything out of your van and sanitize everything. It's terrible. So you should try to trap that guy pretty much right away, as soon as you can. And if you set it at night, it'll work better than if you're trying to catch it during the day, because he's probably not even going to come out. So if you can just wake up in the middle of the night, set your trap, and then turn the light off and go back to bed, or try to go back to bed, you can just wait for the trap to go off. Like, it'll probably happen within 5 or 10 minutes, honestly, with the peanut butter smear on there. Peanut butter works great. Yeah, that's what I did. So after I discovered I had him, after like 10 days of him living and crapping everywhere in my van, I set the trap, killed him, and then pulled everything out and sanitized it down. So I had gotten pretty lax about my garbage, and this happens to me it happens to me all the time. I'll have a mouse, it'll be this whole issue, I'll clean it up, and then from then on I'm very good about taking care of all my garbage, never leaving any food garbage around the van. And then after a few months and I haven't had a mouse, I start to get a little lax. I'll leave a candy bar wrapper or a little chips bag. I'll maybe leave some aluminum foil garbage in the sink or something like that, and then it ends up getting shredded. Or I'll leave a roll of toilet paper not in a container and that'll get shredded. So make sure you stay on taking care of your garbage, put it in a sealed bin, and keep any sort of paper towels, napkins, toilet paper in a sealed bin because mice will find it and shred it for their nests. And check your glove box every now and again. So yeah, I had to pull everything out of my van, vacuum everything, wipe everything down with the sanitizer, and then I had to wipe down all my stuff that was in the van with the sanitizer because a lot of it had a couple of little droppings on it. So just a little pro tip, vacuum, don't sweep. So when you're talking about a small confined space like this, mouse droppings can carry hantavirus, and if you sweep, you can put that into airborne form through the dust. So don't do that. Make sure you vacuum out if you've had mice. And then, yeah, wipe everything down. But, you know, it actually worked out fine because I probably needed to do a deep clean of the van anyway, so. But yeah, don't do what I did. So I went to, so after my Joshua Tree trip, I went to the Grand Canyon the next weekend. Totally didn't plan on it. The weather window was great. I got off work and just decided I would go. So I went. I spent 3 days, 2 nights, and it was awesome. And that was the end of March. However, apparently my mic was having all sorts of issues that I didn't know about, and 80% of my footage was ruined. It was just ruined by the sound. I had no sound, or there was all this static and weird stuff. So yeah, I don't have much footage, so let me just show you what I did manage to get. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little nippy this morning.
Well, it's meant to go like this.
Sorry.
Okay. There.
I would love that.
That's fine.
Currently strolling the Rim Trail. Wish I still had coffee. I am empty. So that was the Grand Canyon South Rim. It was awesome. The weather was great. It was a little cold at night because, you know, there was still a little bit of snow on the ground, but it was beautiful. I think a lot of people always want to hike down into the canyon, and I did from the, I think the north or south Kaibab trailhead, whatever Kaibab trailhead I hiked from. That's one of the two main hikes down into the canyon. It was so freaking busy. It was so busy, and unlike other hikes where you're having a 3,000 or 4,000 foot elevation change, because you're hiking down first, there's a lot more people hiking it because they just don't realize how terrible it's going to be coming back up. So it doesn't really cut out the suckers the way it does the other way, where you have to go up 3,000 feet and then back down, because after like 1,000 feet of elevation gain, most people will just turn around. That doesn't happen in the Grand Canyon. They don't turn around after 1,000 feet down. They just keep going down, and then they nearly die coming back up. So, you know, honestly, the scenery down in the canyon, I didn't go all the way down to the bottom, all the way to the Colorado, but down in the canyon, it's really not any better than up at the rim. And there's so many people. If you do the rim trail, especially if you go north of Grand Canyon Village and you head up towards Hermit's Rest, there's hardly anybody on that trail. So many less people than were down in the canyon on the Kaibab Trail, and also the Bright Angel Trail also has just a ton of people. So I actually kind of just prefer the rim trail, and it's a lot easier. You can get more miles on it, and there's lots of different advantages. And as you go farther north, you start to get the plateau view, which is really cool. And then the canyon cutting through it. So yeah, I really like the rim trail. I would say more so than hiking down into the canyon. So that's a little tip for the South Rim. There is a trail at Hermit's Rest that goes down into the canyon, and it seems like it's a lot less used than the other two. So if you want to go into the canyon, I think starting at Hermit's Rest, which there's no car traffic to, you have to take a bus to. But yeah, that was great. So yeah, I tried to backpack. I had intended to backpack, but I couldn't even get a permit down into the canyon, so I ended up just day hiking. But it worked out great because I really wasn't feeling a backpack anyway. So it was fun. I really enjoy the Grand Canyon. It's such a beautiful place, and yeah, I had a great time there. So that's pretty much my video, all about the trials of mice, which are definitely my main nemesis living the van life. I hate mice. They're terrible. They're jerks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Thanks a bunch.